to the Then and Now podcast.
How y'all doing, brothers? How y'all doing?
Confused.
Hello, I'm your co-host T Diesel. To the left of me, I have Mr. Lelouch V. To the right of me, I have Professor E, King of the Comics, Ethan Murphy. How y'all doing, brothers?
Good, man. What a way to start. What a way to start.
Man, epic intro. Today's a special episode. I had to start right.
It is. It is a very special episode, my friends. Very special episode.
Yeah. Still trying to understand why that happened. But other than that, I'm pretty good. Been through a whole weekend of Black Panther stuff. And now we're here to talk about the complete opposite of Black Panther.
Yeah.
Today's episode is going to be a great one. As a nerd, this has been some of the most conflicting times for me. It's been dropping amazing content like Black Panther and God of War coming out, but then also we're losing somebody that's helped create so much great content for so many different generations. Just to start off the stream, it's obviously in the thumbnail. You guys know I want to say RIP to one of the greatest to ever do it, Mr. Kevin Conroy, the quintessential voice of the Batman for multiple generations of people, probably even modern day kids, depending on how old they are. Dude was he's one of those people that I always felt like if I ever met him in real life, he'd be who he was through video. He just seemed so genuine. And you saw that ever present back in 2020 when he was doing this thing where he would video call either people that were sick or people that were depressed and kind of just give them just some kind words just to kind of uplift them. And I have a clip here. Obviously, this episode, I could care less about this shit being copyrighted. If we make any money off this video, it is what it is. So I want this to be something that we did right for somebody that meant so much to all of us. But this clip here that I'm about to play is a clip that I feel like embodied who he was as a person. And I keep watching this shit, and it really makes me tear up looking at it. But here we go.
Life is just ambiguous. It's full of nothing but curveballs, and you just learn how to hit curveballs. That's the joy of living, is dealing with the ambiguity of it all. And not judge yourself. If you make a mistake, we all make mistakes. That's part of being alive. It's not about not making mistakes, because you will. It's about how you get back up after the mistake. So we'll all get through this lockdown period. It's frustrating. It's difficult, very difficult for everybody. But we have to just be there for each other. It's all you can do. So remember, not only is on your side, but Batman is on your side.
Yeah, that's tough, man. I almost teared up watching that shit again. But I've talked a lot. I'll give y'all just some time to kind of give your thoughts on him as a person, what he meant to y'all.
He was the only Batman that mattered. Still is. Like, whenever I think of what Batman sounds like, is Kevin Conroy's voice, the swagger, the baritone that he had. Like, there's never been another person that has stood in Batman that has felt like they captured all of that he brought to that form, the animated form.
All right.
Yeah. He really was, like, for me. We'll get more into, I guess, as we do the count and everything later. But there's so many moments that I think of when I think of Batman. I think of him. When I think of my first impression of a actual, quote unquote hero or a quote unquote badass, it's him. It's not, no offense to Michael Keaton or Val Kilmer or whatever, but it's like when I think of every day rushing home from school to see Kevin Conroy don on the cape and cowl and just say something that hit me so hard. It's like, oh, that's definitely what I think of. I think of Batman. And every year I read Hush. It's my favorite comic book. I read it every year. And anyone who's read my comics, they can see a lot of I copy a lot from Hush. But I still in my head I always hear Kevin Conroy's voice. So
All right.
yeah.
I will never forgive Warner Brothers for not bringing back the Justice League for years ago and doing what I feel like they should have done before he passed away. I feel like now I don't know if I can really ever see anything in that animated style or that verse and like have Batman be there and not hear that voice. It's just always going to throw me off. No matter, it could be the greatest person in the world and I still would kind of sour it for me. But again, just to give him his flowers. We're obviously going to get into his work later on in the countdown and some of our favorite moments from Batman. And I think all of those moments are moments that he was an integral part of. But yeah, just wanted to say rest in peace. You meant a lot to everybody. Yeah. To move on from that into something that's not going to make me cry, we can get into God of War really quickly. I have some stuff prepared for that as well. This is just more so our early thoughts on the game. Obviously, I'm only like I think 10 hours in. I think I have the most hours out of the 3. I think, right? I don't know how far y'all are.
I don't know where O's at.
5-6 hours in, so yeah, I'm nowhere near 10.
Okay, O and I are about around the same area then.
But before we get into, I guess, some of the gameplay aspects, I do have some gameplay for people that have not had the game from a quick little boss fight that I had earlier in the game that I was like, oh man, let me record this. Give me 1 sec. Video file.
It's
Boom,
probably not spoil. Do we need a spoiler alert?
No, it's just a random fight. So the thing that I really enjoyed about this game that's improved about the other game from the other games is I feel like the combo system and the combat improved. It's not too much different, but it just seems so much smoother to me. Like transitioning from the chains, the Blade of Chaos to the Leviathan axe. Like I think me and Otis talked about it a couple of days ago, where literally you can start the fight out with the Leviathan axe, throw that thing, and then immediately just quickly get into the Blades of Chaos, and just seamless transition back and forth.
Yeah. Because you obviously everyone knows you can throw the axe. Once the axe is thrown, you can still switch to the blades in your hands and use them while the axe is gone if you wanted to. But also now it's not a spoiler. They showed it in the trailer. And we've seen it in the footage. You also have a variety of shields you can use. You have a smaller shield that's more. It's kind of the way they describe it is a high risk, high reward for parries. And they also have a larger, more durable shield that you can use if you want to be more of a tank in battle too.
All right.
And
I went the smaller shield for this game, for this playthrough. And you can see just in this gameplay, like this is probably the best I've ever encountered in anybody in this game, where I was able just to parry this dragon a couple times. I like shredded through his health bar doing that. So you can play it very aggressively, and then just shred through with damage, or you can try to play a little bit more safe, and it may take a little bit longer to beat your enemy. It just depends on how you play. Another thing that I enjoyed that I think improved in this game versus the last game, you have options on how you want to play it.
Yeah, and from what I understand, so friend of the show, Andres or Cito, aka Nightwing, from a few weeks ago, he or last week I think.
Last week, yeah.
Last week. So he's beaten the game already. He pretty much just tore through the game, but he was talking about some of the differences too, and some of how you do get more, spoiler alert, more weapons, more things to use, more tactics. Obviously, Atreus is older, and he starts doing. As you see right now, he's a more legitimate badass too. So it's a lot more they give you in the game.
Yeah, that's one thing. That's the main thing I love about the game is that they definitely make it a point to involve Atreus more. Like he seems like he's a young adult versus a child that needed to be protected from the last game. Right. Like a lot of the combo moves they do, and then you guys probably haven't got there, but when you get to a certain part of the game, you get to actually just solo and be Atreus itself without Kratos there. I haven't played too much of that combat yet, but from listening to the Blurred Lines podcast, shout out to them, Captain NU, Dad Pad Game, and all those guys. They played through it and they said they were addicted to his gameplay. So if you got gameplay for 2 different characters and both of them are just as good, I'm like, damn, this is game of the year for me, y'all. I ain't gonna hold you. And I played Elden Ring this time, so I played enough Elden Ring to be like, hey, I just vastly enjoy this game a lot more than Elden Ring. Granted, that was a fun experience, but
Elden Ring isn't as thick on the story. This game is very much about character development in the story.
Like that's the main driver for me. Like from the moment you pick up this game, you are deep within the lives of Kratos and Atreus. Like start coming down the mountain and get attacked by Hela, arrested your cabin.
Freya.
Freya. I'm sorry, I'm getting my mythologies confused. But
you're straight.
Yeah, Freya. Then go to the cabin, have to deal with all of that when you get back home.
The
I'm not
mafia
gonna,
sit down.
like, man,
Yeah,
like, this is tough. Like, it's the way that they built their scenes, their dialogue, their it's so immersive and so almost is real feeling. You're feeling like you are really living the lives of these two people. And I can't think of too many other games that have that level of immersion and just can carry my attention and make hours go by and not even feel like hours.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Shout out to the
Yeah.
actors and the creative writers for this, because like O said, the dialogue in this is amazing. There's not too many games where like I'm traversing the open world, and I can't wait to not fight the enemies on the island, but I can't wait to get back in a boat and just hear the dialogue between
Yeah.
the three characters in it, because they always are saying something that world builds in an interesting way, or you just learn more about the characters' relationship. Like the thing I
Yeah.
love the most right now is like the whole Trace is getting older, so now he's starting to make crack little old jokes towards his dad, talking about his old knees and shit like that. I'm like, damn, okay, I see how like you see his development more so than anything else.
But also, even outside of the him cutting back on him, it's just that he's asking him questions, or he's making more wiser insights with his dad, and his dad can't just tell him to shut up or be. As far as I played I'm at 5 hours and 23 minutes. I haven't heard him say boy once yet, so it's kind of like it's that Kratos doesn't regard him as a little kid, or like Otis said, like a little boy. He sees him as kind of like he has to treat him like on some level is a growing man, so to speak, which is a lot of fun. So.
And I think with everything that I've heard, it is becoming more apparent that eventually that we are going to get a solo Atreus game, and I'm more than okay with that.
I am too. Yeah.
Which you're gonna like it because he's all bows. When you get to that part, you're gonna geek out because he's like
which is Otis's favorite
thing
in the world is bows. Yeah, but I think that's kind of Corey Balrog is the guy who's the creative director and writer on this game. So he and obviously he made this because he had a son in real life. It stands to reason he kind of wanted to basically get to that point where if we Charlie and I talked before about if they did a third game or how long this saga went on, how would they continue it? It could be continued if they actually did have Atreus as the lead in some capacity, I think. And I think they earned it by having us. We were endeared to him through his dad. His dad, they didn't just give us a game, God of War 4, and it's just Atreus with Kratos to know around. It's like, no, here's Kratos with his son for a couple of games first, and then you like the character enough to go ahead and give him his own game.
Shout out to Corey Balrog. I watched so Sony put out a documentary of making the first game, the game before this one.
2 hours.
I watched the entire thing. It's on YouTube. You can find it. I watched it intimately after I finished the first game, and seeing how much Corey Balrog loved this character. He has a passion for this because he created the original God of War stuff as well, and I really enjoyed that when the creator of this thing is passionate about it. You can see that definitely through the work itself. I honestly, I wouldn't hate, like you guys said, I wouldn't hate in a solo Atreus game, especially playing a little bit of his solo stuff like I have so far in this game. It looks like they're trying to warm people up into getting used to playing with him solo. But I'm gonna miss if he doesn't get to use the Blades of Chaos. I'm gonna miss him, but I'll get over it.
Yeah, it'll be fun to see. We're obviously we're just theorizing right now, but it'll be fun to see what his journey would be like, because it'd be a very different thing. I don't even know if they call it God of War in that case. It'd be a different type of game. He's
God of Chaos, technically.
God of Chaos, maybe. That's kind of what he is. Spoiler, everyone knows he's Loki, but so. Yeah.
True. Or maybe it's a succession thing. Hey, it was God of War was Ares to start with, then Kratos may go over. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah. But yeah, that's a lot for that game we talked about. I kind of some initial reviews on it. We'll probably have a definite review coming out later on. Hopefully we'll partner up with our guys over at BOP. We'll see how that goes and how
once we finish the game too, a full look back. I do want to say real quick before I'm sorry, go ahead, Otis.
I was like, because I was just saying I have to finish this game. Like this, this is a game that must finish.
I didn't have internet, Wi-Fi, or anything for a whole almost 24 hours, and I couldn't play this game, and I was pissed. I was looking for koala bears to name. But real quick before we move on, I wanted to see if y'all noticed this, but without getting the spoilers for the game itself, the same actor is in both Black Panther and God of War. Did y'all notice that?
Christopher Judge?
No. It's there's a
don't say. Yeah, it's the same dude. He looks the same. He looks the way they animate him in the game looks the same. So it's like, oh, that's the same dude. And that's kind of a weird. Funny thing. I first seen him in a show called The Good Doctor on I think CBS, the CBS show.
Yeah.
He plays like a doctor on there. And I heard, I'm like, damn, I recognize that fucking voice. He looks really familiar when I was watching Black Panther. I was like, oh shit, that's that guy.
Is that guy? He's also in West Wing, which people know him from. He's Toby in West Wing, but he is in Star Labs in the Man of Steel movie. He plays Dr. or is he a doctor or Professor Hamilton? It's Hamilton. Can't remember if he's a doctor or professor. He's Professor Hamilton.
Ringing a bell at all.
He's getting work. Put it like that. He's getting
work.
He's
getting work. He's getting work. But yeah, that dude is. Yeah, so you'll see him.
But I enjoy him as an actor. Like I liked him in The Good Doctor. I thought he was cool. But yeah, he's getting work. Moving on into, I guess we can get into Black Panther now. We'll save the best for last with the Batman stuff. This is a spoiler-free review for anybody that is watching this ahead of time. We will keep this thing spoiler-free. We're gonna do a big spoilery review later on the channel. We're gonna record, do all that fun stuff with it. But this is just more of our initial thoughts on the movie. Maybe just some preliminary thoughts on actors that are playing certain roles, but we will keep plot details out of this discussion. But I guess we'll start with Otis. What were your initial thoughts on the film? Because I think you saw it twice now, right?
3 times.
3 times.
What?
Yeah, because for the Wakanda Alliance, Galactic Tribe, the Wakanda Alliance program, they had 2 showings of it with the NAACP this past Thursday and Friday. So those I got to see it for free those 2 times, but I didn't get to see the beginning of the movie. I came in maybe with the first night I came in like 40 minutes in. The second time I came like 30 minutes in.
Oh,
so I didn't get to see it from the beginning until last night. And with things seeing all of it, I really enjoyed it. I thought that the portrayal of everyone was really well done. How they handled, the passing of the torch here, I think it made sense.
Mm-hmm.
It played pretty heavily into the plot for a few of the characters, but I think that it helped towards their development. And Riri Williams is easily my favorite character in this movie. She was really like the voice of the audience, I feel like, in a lot of parts of the movie.
Yes.
So I really enjoyed her performance. What else? I won't get too heavy into other stuff because we'll still do that for the full-on review. But bottom line, it's a really well-done movie.
Yeah. And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Otis and Dev. So Riri is getting her own series. It's not a movie. She gets her own series.
I think they're making it a movie now because initially it was a series, but I think they upped it to a movie. Armor Wars. Okay. It's gonna be like her and Don Cheadle, probably the biggest 2 names I know about it right now.
Okay.
But I think it got changed. Either it got changed from a movie to a series or a series to a movie. One of the
But she's getting something. She's getting something. She's getting her own.
Got more content coming.
I think that's coming out right after Secret Invasion.
I think it's a movie. Actually,
it is a movie. Okay.
And it's now titled Ironheart. It's not Armor Wars anymore.
Oh, damn.
It's, okay. They showed the logo. I saw it online, how it looks for the font and logo for it. Yeah. Okay. But yeah, I'm sorry, Dave, you can go next. Anyway.
Oh, no. Yeah, it was amazing. This is officially my favorite MCU movie. I really have to dig to pick out holes that I think were bad with this movie. If I can't really think of any, I'd be pulling at strings at that point. Most of the things we've ever said bad about MCU movies in the past with other reviews, they don't do in this movie that I've seen. One thing, shout out to fucking Ryan Coogler, because Buddy, I don't know how much of a decision he had in, or if it was more of a creative writers, but they made the Latino communities like their version of somebody like some representation. They gave them a lot of representation, and that's something that we've talked about in the show fairly recently about representation here. And it's amazing. I gotta ask my Latino friends like how important that was to them or how much they enjoyed it, because only they can really tell me. But I don't know if I don't know. I can't say too much on that, but it was amazing. I love getting representation of other people and stuff. And we had to share the spotlight, and it was still amazing. And I feel like everybody got their equal shine.
Right. Was actors, just real quick on that? Mm-hmm. Our friend of the show, Cito, who's obviously Puerto Rican. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure what nationality the Namor is necessarily, but
it's more Mexican probably because it's Aztec.
Yeah, it's probably Mexican, right? But he was talking about how he saw it with his wife, and they're for the community, and they adored it. So from their perspective, they can't speak for their whole entire culture. I get it, but as far as from an actual Latin American person, they actually really enjoyed it.
Yeah, the one knock I would say is that this little fake Kamehameha thing, I don't think it's gonna
The
catch on
Hadouken.
like what
I think it will. Hey, if we got this shit to catch on right here, we got the shoulder shrug to
See,
catch
but
on.
that's dope though. Like, and that wasn't.
But it is. This is already kind of done. This is actually they from Kamehamehas to Hadoukens. People already use this in a way, so it's kind of like it's cool, but I don't know if it's as uniquely. It's not necessarily just theirs.
Hey, I don't know too many kids that didn't grow up doing Kamehameha waves out or
I
Hadokens
still
out
do.
fighting.
I still do. Yeah.
That's all I'm gonna say with that one.
Go ahead.
Also, I need to vehemently apologize to Latita Wright. In the past, I've gone
Letitia Wright.
Letitia or Latita? It's Letitia. Letitia. Okay. I've gone on saying that I wasn't so sure she could carry on the mantle. I didn't know if she had the star power or the acting chops. She made me eat my fucking words because she did amazing in this role. I'm very great. Granted, I would still like to see Chadwick rest in peace, but I do not feel slighted in any way seeing that we have an actor of that quality that does that character so well. And then also shout out to Angela Bassett. She did an immaculate job.
Can we?
Yo, auntie's favorite auntie, boy, she killed that shit.
What are we doing? By the way, let's just be honest here too. I don't know what her diet is or what the regimen is or what her age supposedly is. There are multiple times you're like, that 25-year-old is an incredible. That's Angela Bassett. What year was she born? So
I'm trying to do what she do. I'm trying to age like her. Jesus Christ.
Jesus. But real. I don't want to interrupt you. Keep on interrupting you, but just Letitia Wright 100% showed up. But what it is though is I think it's similar to Breaking Bad. Y'all seen Breaking Bad? How when they cast it. Okay, but let me spoil it. Don't be spoiled. Otis, you've seen Breaking Bad, right, buddy?
Of course.
Okay. So with Aaron Paul, when they cast him, it's been documented. Vince Gilligan them said they originally planned to kill him very early on in the first season, but then when he showed up, his acting was so good and they liked him so much, kept him around. So he wasn't necessarily cast to be what he became later on with his dramatic chops. I think Letitia Wright's in a similar position where she was cast essentially to be the plucky, young, fun sister. And she was a really good actor, but they didn't cast her for that. So in this movie, she is not a plucky, young, happy-go-lucky. She's a very different, robust character. She's a great character, but she's not the same. If you go in there looking to see the same character, you won't get it. She'd be a much, much more evolved life form. So she showed up. Also with Angela Bassett, no offense to Angela Bassett, but she got so short shift on the first few appearances in the films and stuff. She's an amazing actor, Academy Award winner, but didn't really have much to do. This time,
she was
she got in her bag like the fries at the motherfucking bottom. Oh my god!
Oh, it was all fries at the bottom. All fries at the bottom. And she said, "These are my shoulders. These are my traps. I work out daily. What do you do?" Bro. So it was a tour de force, 100%. And that's not the short shift. I actually really like M'Baku. I thought Winston Duke did a better job in this.
I loved him.
Don't do it overall.
Don't do it.
I
see Otis's eye. Don't do it.
No, we won't get into it. We won't.
I'm just saying.
Not today.
He became a much more peaceful person by the end of this movie. That's all.
He was. Yeah, it was his character. It wasn't. I enjoyed his character more. That's the thing. I enjoyed his character a lot more. Otis can't. Otis. He has to Otis. He will always Otis. And the last thing I would say, of course, I gotta give super duper shine to my boy Namor or Namor, as he pronounced, which makes sense. Namor. It's like there's a part. My single favorite part. Yeah. My favorite part of the movie is I think I may have mentioned to Dev. I can't remember, but there's a part where he goes full blown like, "Do you think Darth Vader and Thanos are badass? Let me show you something." He just, as he ascends down to his throne, the music is swelling, and his performance. I was like, this is as controversial as it may be. He's probably my favorite villain actually in all of the MCU. I'm not saying that Namor is my favorite villain in the comics. I'm saying the movies. In the movies, he is.
He's fucking menace in the comics too.
He's great, but I don't know if I say he's my favorite. Doctor Doom is still higher up, but anyway, I would say that in the MCU, Namor is top. Is top for me. So.
Yeah, he moved Thanos down the spot. He was like, "Hey, little boy, come here real quick."
Yeah.
That shit was crazy.
Ooh, I don't know if I can say that.
He's
Thanos got two movies. Thanos got two movies.
Let
me get two from Namor.
But Namor is like this. His.
I don't know if he's gonna be a villain going forward though, but I'll leave that for that.
He'll be a force. Let's.
I think they're gonna have him like not out of the mix, but I'll talk about it probably.
Yeah,
after
we don't get spoilers and stuff.
But yeah, everything was dope about this movie. Sound design, makeup, aesthetics.
Sound design.
CGI was amazing for this. Like the CGI they used,
much better than the first movie. It looks so much better.
And
the DP, the actual, I think I told Otis about this. The director of photography. This looked like actual way it was shot. The film, it looked like, this was shut Martin Scorsese up. This is better than it looks like actual Roger Deakins shot this or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Last thing I'll say, man, I love black women because Jesus Christ, this movie. Oh God.
Yeah, they're out there. They're out there.
I saw Lupita Nyong'o. Oh my God.
Oh yeah, I know that. There's a
Riri Zhu. There's so many black women that are just finding this movie, and I'm just like, damn, y'all. And the DP, you know what he was doing? He gave them the shots with like the sunlight glistening on the skin and shit. I was like, damn, bro, you just.
Yeah,
I do declare. Ooh.
They got some shot. Yeah, Riri was. Yeah, you're right. Riri was awesome. She was awesome. I think she was what they did as far as like she kind of was a comic relief, but not as far as an annoying one. It was like it made sense. Like her character. Yeah, like, I'm figuring out what's going on here, guys. Kind of a situation.
In a lot of the ways, it feels like they kind of wrote her to be very similar to Tony. They made her really like quick-witted, sarcastic.
Right. But it didn't feel out of place.
We'll get into that more for the actual review, but they did a lot to make her story similar to Tony. So I just put it that way.
Yeah, a lot of the shots and stuff.
Right.
But it was dope though. But yeah, I'm gonna give it an early rating. That's gonna be a 10 out of 10 for me. Y'all, it's gonna be a 10 now. It's gonna be a 10 later. I'm just going to get it out the way.
Now, do we?
10 for me.
Yeah, I get my rating as far as it's a 10 for me as well. You can go ahead, Otis. But
it's a 9 for me. But I mean, it was close to it. If I had not seen it the other 2 times, I could have said it was a 10.
you had to weigh yourself out. I was like, I've seen this so much stuff.
No, I just saw. I saw where things got a little wonky in places, but they were so slight that it doesn't really hurt the movie. So
No, I feel you. So real quick, there's 2 things. One is that I believe we had a wager on this, but I don't remember entirely what the details of. We had to do some research.
I remember what it was, but if I say I'm not gonna say I won it, but I also won't say I lost it. But if I say what it was, it'll spoil it. It'll be a spoiler.
But we'll say that for the actual review.
Yeah, we'll get to the review. Fair. And the other thing is getting into, because I know there are some slight gaffes essentially in the plot. I realized it too, because it's about 2.5 hour long movie. So there were a couple of things I saw, but a YouTube channel that Charlie and I follow, Just Right. There's a guy who talks about how plot holes do not necessarily make a bad movie, and a movie that we can still enjoy movies that have gaffes and that kind of stuff in it too. So it doesn't, the things that I saw that I was kind of like, this is a little odd or weird. It didn't take away from the fact that I still.
All right. I'm the same way. I don't think there is a movie without plot holes. Honestly,
I don't either.
You can't make a perfect movie because there's always going to be something that you didn't account for.
Yeah. So I still give it. I still think it's a masterpiece overall. So,
but yeah, moving on into I guess the main event of the podcast is going to be us, Shaboing Boing and Kevin Conroy for the rest of the show, pretty much.
Yeah, so y'all buckle in. Buckle in, my friends. All right.
Roll the intro.
Welcome to Die, baby. Oh, you got
courts in session. Let's get it going, fellas.
Oh, you got the helm as usual.
Mr. Banner Guy.
It starts at near the top under the echelon. Okay.
So we're starting with Charlie this time. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, I'm sorry. We did out of order, right? Because it was the way that this came in.
But, I feel special.
You is special, boy. You is. All right. So for the real quick rundown, for those who don't know, the blur down is actually where me and my co-host will go ahead and we say our top 4 or so choices for a topic. Today's topic is, of course, remembering the late great Mr. Kevin Conroy, and these are our personal favorite moments from him portraying the character of Batman in all mediums, whether it be the animated series, animated films, and of course the video game series of Arkham. Okay. And we're starting off today with Mr. Diesel himself, since he, of course, grew up the most probably as a young pup on Mr. Conroy.
Yeah. Kevin, I wouldn't say like he was in. I'd say he was probably in his prime when I was consuming the content. He started obviously with the Batman animated series, but once you get into like Justice League and all that stuff, and then he started the Arkham games, I feel like that's when, like, for me, his best performances were kind of in that sense. I feel like he got a lot more shine and was able to do some crazy stuff.
We'll get into it.
I feel like he got bigger projects, but I wouldn't necessarily say he was in his prime.
Granted, I'm counting the last half of the animated series too, like the Batman and Robin era going forward, where he had.
He had some real shine in the earlier episodes too.
He did.
It's almost like if you're that great, it's like, is it all your work of prime? Right. But yeah. Okay. So we'll start with your number 4 then, Dev. We'll go and get this.
Nature always wins. Will he ever learn?
You're coming with me.
You only had to ask.
So this moment for me, when this happened in this game, my jaw dropped because this embodies damn near what Batman is as a character to me. Obviously, she whips him away, and you're like, "Damn, we're about to start some kind of chase or boss fight or something." And he's just like, "Nah, I'm here. Like you don't have to try that shit with me. I'm Batman. The fuck? I got contingencies on my ass." But
yeah, it's very cinematic in that it's a oneer, what they call it, one shot. So you see it from the time that they're walking, Ivy walks into the elevator to the time she goes down to the time she opens the doors, he's there. So it just shows how fast in real time Batman was able to get out of those vines and then of course get down all the way those floors to meet her.
How crazy that shit was. You got snatched up by a bunch of vines and then within the matter of what, like 7 seconds got her free. Something and then was on the ground on the other side.
Chilling. He was just like chilling. He wasn't even like
not out of breath, not breathing hard, just like, I'm here. You know what it is.
Yeah, he's a man.
Yeah, I mean, when you fought your villains as many times as Bruce has, he probably already was like, all right, this again, and already had 7 gadgets ready for it. It's like, I could jump back in the elevator, but that would take longer, so I'm just going to meet her downstairs.
Yeah. I bet you he let those plants, he let them kick him out, so he's like, this will be even faster. This is my elevator. Plant life. Right on.
And we'll never know exactly what it did. That's the best thing about it.
That's the best part. Yeah.
I'll never tell.
Oh, that movie. Brady Murphy. All right, so moving on to Mr. Brody O's number 4.
Tell me something. Why were you so sure those voices weren't coming from you?
Well, first, I know I'm not psychotic.
I hope your other reason's more convincing.
And second, the voice kept calling me Bruce. In my mind, that's not what I call myself.
What do you call yourself? Oh, yeah. I suppose you would. But that's my name now.
Tell that to my subconscious.
I love that moment. First off, I mean, you guess one of my earlier looks into the psychology of a superhero. Like, I don't really feel like you got a whole lot of moments to see that. So of course, just hearing that, like, he thinks of himself as Batman, and like that Bruce Wayne is his alter ego essentially. I related to that pretty heavily because I feel like, the person, especially when I was that young, like the real me is the me now. Like the nerd me being very outspoken and boisterous was the real me, and the person I portrayed to everybody else was the fake me. So I really related to that moment heavily, and I think the interaction between him and Terry in that moment really captured a lot of things that were important to me at that time.
All right. That's you back when you had the dreadhead in Chicago, right?
Never had dreads.
Yeah. but like Ultimate Multiverse Otis that Charlie AC knows with dreads.
The superpower dreads that are like symbiote in the box he keeps under the bed.
Isn't there a symbiote that actually has that with their hair? Yeah, there's one with the
It's like Shriek, I think. Is that his name?
Shriek has it. Yeah. But that just goes to show how much Otis. So Otis has 2 of my top 4 moments on his list. This is one of them. I can't remember if we did discuss this one time in one of our epic gaming sessions together, but I love this moment to pieces. And Otis put on his list, like he said, when Batman tells Terry it's a mask. It's like I know exactly what he's referring to. I know the exact moment because that was my moment. I love this moment. I saw this back in the day when before Charlie was around doing too much. I used to record episodes of Batman Beyond with some friends of mine, my brother, and I remember recording this episode, and I watched this one moment a bunch of times. I just love the idea of Batman because to get a little more into detail. there's a part where Batman is while he's in a mental hospital, he's hearing voices, and he's like, "See, stop it!" And he has Terry tear apart the walls to find the microphone, essentially. And I remember just seeing like Batman has to have his mind so strong, and his will so strong, he has to always think, no matter what's going on, I still know who I am. Regardless of what's going on, I know who I am. And over the years, as I battled my own insecurities and mental issues and everything else, it's like that always stuck with me. So I just love seeing that Batman is doing the same thing. Yeah,
and it shows just how strong his mental fortitude is. With like, he has multiple villains that all play into like his psyche. Whether it's Mad Hatter, Scarecrow, he's a telepath nurse to some extent. I can't remember. Not even just his own villains, but other people's villains too, where they just all are attacking his mind, and his mind is always impenetrable, damn near.
Well, even you can say Ra's al Ghul in a way, Talia in a different sense.
Yeah, and Joker in a completely different sense plays with his mind probably the most.
Yeah. So it's a fantastic idea, fantastic clip, all around aces. I do hate Otis for stealing that, but I'll do that later on. All right, now moving on to my number 4. This may be a bit odd, but it's a good one, I promise.
Batman, what's going on? I found Croc. Something's wrong. Vision's all twisted inside out. Croc bit me. I think he's got the Scarecrow's fear toxin boiling inside his veins. He infected me with it. Are you in pain? I work through pain.
I fucking love that. Have I told y'all? Oh, my bad. Go ahead. I'll say that.
No, what you say?
Oh no, this is. I think I've talked about it on the show before, but this is back in my Wii days. Way back when I was still playing at 360. One of the first things I bought that I really enjoyed, like one of the first things I ever bought, I spent like $9 and bought Batman the Gotham Knights. About that movie because that's from the anthology series pretty much that came out then. It's like different styles of Batman stories from like animated to that. And that moment, I thought that shit was so fucking cold. Because that was the whole thing. But yeah, that nostalgia just kicked in for me for a second.
Well, that was the cleanest. That was the clean summer of Bats because it had that anthology. You had Batman Arkham Asylum, the first game, and you had Dark Knight. All came out that same summer. But that one out of the anthology, Gotham Knights, that's my favorite one. I watch that one still all the time. I love the artwork, but I also love the style. It's a very unique style that is used, and the idea of I work through pain is like that's kind of how it's that kind of. I'm not as badass, obviously, Batman. Or a Stan, or as Otis, or as Charlie. But I do like to say that myself. If I'm at the gym, I feel tired and weak as hell. I just love to say I work through pain, kind of idea. So I never forgot that line. I love it to pieces. I work through pain.
So that's an example of a good anthology.
Yes. We don't have to get into Mr. Del Toro. Mr. Del Toro. He's a grown man, Del Toro. But you've seen this anthology too, right? Oh,
of course.
Yeah.
Boing boing.
Anyway,
all right. So moving on to Mr. Wilson's number, or Mr. Diesel's number 3. Then,
Surprised to see me? A little. I'm more surprised that I lived so long.
Batman, Bruce Wayne. Bruce Wayne, Batman. Or have you met?
Not now.
This is cool to me. I always have a special place in my heart for actors that like can play either themselves or multiple people and still like be them. I thought this was so cool. I'm like, how weird is it has to be like to talk to yourself and like that whole process of being in the booth? Did you just like read all that back to back, or did you do it in 2 sessions? And it's weird because even with that Batman voice, like his older Batman voice, he does something slightly different with like his baritone.
Yeah, it does sound different.
And for like it's the same thing, but it's just slightly different. And that's just pure skill of a voice actor to me.
Well, plus you got to remember too. We just saw like the Kevin Conroy clip. His actual normal voice isn't what Bruce Wayne's voice is, or Batman's voice. It does his voice, his normal voice. It sounds happier. So he actually had to put on what you think is a more relaxed, natural voice for him as Bruce Wayne or Batman, young Batman. That's actually still a voice there, and he puts on a different voice again to be older Bruce Wayne. So that is I think he had to do multiple read throughs all the way to kind of capture those characters.
Mm-hmm. That was amazing. I fucking love that shit.
Yeah.
And then Terry's a troll, bro. Terry is this troll.
That's Ron Stoppable. He's master trolling in multiple roles.
Yeah, Will Friedle was Ron Stoppable. That's right. I forgot about that. God. So are we still not doing the spoiler for who Terry is, or we You can say who he is, right?
Wait, what?
For Terry being
the clone of Bruce,
Batman's son ish.
That came out like in 2005.
Okay.
I don't care.
Okay. Yeah, it's his son. It's his
care.
son. Yeah, so of course he's gonna troll. You're gonna troll your daddy. He just saw his daddies right there. Of course he's gonna troll him. And at that point, he knew that at that point that was his dad.
No, he didn't. He
didn't know until he was
like
adult.
30.
Yes, later on. Okay, so he didn't know that because I know that's the episode where they go to the future, but I guess he hadn't.
It's the future of the future.
It wasn't that far.
Yeah, it's not that far enough. Not far. Okay, I couldn't remember where it was.
Because Buddy, when he was 30, had like a mean chin. His chin got massive. He
was also like jacked,
yoked. Yeah,
he was swole. Yeah, he was. Yeah, he had the Cavill. He was like Cavill. He was Henry Cavill basically.
And this got the nice game.
Yeah, that's right.
Pretty much, bro.
Pretty much, yeah. Jesus Christ, he's huge. What are we doing with it? What are we doing? Angela Bassett. You also Angela Bassett's triceps. All right. But moving on to Otis East, number 3.
Yep.
She never stops, does she? Not that I've noticed. Any luck finding the comedian? 3 nights, and not so much as a green hair. Of course, you have been dividing your time between work and Lois. Is that a problem? Let's just say I'm concerned. Your reputation is dubious, in and out of costume. Don't worry. I'm taking Lois quite seriously. Besides, it seems to me you had your chance.
So, Mr. Wayne, ready to sweep me off my feet?
Everything is proceeding as I have foreseen.
He is an evil son of a bitch, boy. Oh, fuck. You know how evil that's gotta be? You not just that you're taking Superman's girl, but like that's your coworker. You know, buddy. Like y'all talk.
Yeah, it's
you know
coworker.
You know how he feels about it. He's like, man, what are you gonna do?
He calls him out for it. Also, that's his town. That's right. He's literally in his hood. Like, yo, I'm at your desk doing this.
Place of work, talking about a whole nother case.
Man, that is
like,
cold,
by the way,
but...
I'm gonna take your chick out for that. I'm taking her serious too, bro.
You're literally looking into the barrel of a gun and like, what the fuck are you gonna do if I do this? You're not gonna do shit.
Clark can fold his arm. He made him say harumph.
Knowing that if Superman sneezes hard enough that Bruce Wayne is done for, he was like,
"Yeah, you won't do nothing. Do something."
I'm gonna take her serious too, bro. I'm gonna take her serious.
And yes, that was my number. That was the other scene I was gonna pull, but I let Otis take that one. There's also a part in this film because it's a film actually. This is from World's Finest. But earlier when they first meet in that nightclub, the way that that Batman basically punks Superman is he pulls a tiny sliver of kryptonite and he says, "quote It doesn't take much," and it throws it into a wine glass near him. It's like that's the most baller thing as far as like. I can
kill you.
A plastic bag of nothing. That's
the funny shit with that relationship. It's like we know Superman can kill Batman infinite amounts of ways, but he's like, try it, please. I dare you. I'm ready.
It's not gonna go pretty for you, bro. Yeah. It's not gonna go pretty.
Let's be honest. That 30 seconds, or whatever it was better than the whole Zack Snyder Batman v Superman. Am I lying?
Completely.
Am I lying?
Absolutely.
You're not lying.
All right. So yeah, that was Otis took my other. That was my other one that he took. However,
With so little funding,
you know about that.
you didn't have enough for research subjects, so you used yourself.
And now I'm a freak.
That's not what I see. I see someone who was willing to give up everything for a cause she believed in.
How do you know so much about me?
Let's just say cats aren't the only ones who are curious.
Too much curiosity can be dangerous.
Maybe I like danger.
Do you?
Try me.
My man said, why we're all pansexual down.
He said, hands behind my back from across the room. I'm gonna pull this chick real quick. Don't just let me watch me work.
Did.
And she wants to kill you. She wants to kill. She tried to kill you.
Those are the best ones. Those are the best ones. But when they really want to get you, that's the best ones, boy. But I just love. I had to put it also right behind Otis's, where just to show like him making in two different versions. Him either as Bruce Wayne back in the day, or even as Batman in the Justice League.
Whenever I see that shit, I think about the Ace Vane short where you did. He was like, "Bitch, you kissing me with your breast smell like Fancy Feast."
You said that. Yeah, you said that. I remember that video. But I as a suppress his migraine. Try hard.
That's how funny that shit was, bro. I'll watch
yeah,
that. His Batman videos kill me. But go ahead.
You love those videos. But
Oh,
the
man.
reason I pulled this clip also is because, spoiler alert, Batman actually already had his handcuffs pretty much undone. It was already could have free him at any time. He did that whole thing
just because
he was playing Cheetah to upset Grodd or whoever it was. Not Grodd. It's the white one. What's the white one's name, Dev?
Not the clock. It was the Shadow. Was it Shade?
No. The white
gorilla.
The
gorilla. Yeah.
The white gorilla.
I do not remember his name.
Fuck.
I forgot his name now, but it's a humanoid or whatever, something like that.
Ultra humanoid.
Yeah.
But he's literally doing that. He's playing her just to play against him, to play all of them essentially. And the Joker's like, "What are y'all doing? You can't leave him in alone for a second. He will fuck all of us up."
The Joker's like, "Bro, fuck! I already know what's going on."
Yeah. So I just love that moment to pieces. I watched that one multiple times too. But that's my number 3. All right, go ahead and get to our Brody Diesel's number 2.
What about the whole secret identity thing? I mean, I trust you guys, but I'm not sure I'm ready to...
Wally West, Clark Kent, Bruce Wayne.
Show off.
It's just another example of just Batman being Batman, where you just like, bro, I already knew all this shit already. You didn't have to say shit. Let's just get this shit over with. Like, he just knows everything. It seems like man, contingencies on contingencies. I know it's a meme at this point within the blurred community, but Buddy literally has contingencies for damn near everything.
Well, plus we don't even, part of the beauty of it is, from our perspective as an audience, we never see Batman deduce that Wally West is the Flash. We do see him, of course. We know that he knows that who Clark Kent is. There's a whole about that. But as far as this, we have no idea how he was able to deduce that. And the Flash is super duper fast, but he somehow figured it out. It was so casual that he did it in the background, and we as audience believe it. So yeah, of course Batman knows. Why would he know? Yeah. So
this shit was crazy. Which I don't get how they know Jon Stewart's identity, because he doesn't wear like anything, and then nobody knows Clark Kent and Superman. It's like, nigga's glasses. He's the same build, same voice. He doesn't try to change his glasses.
He hunches, and it makes him look somehow a foot shorter.
As a person with glasses, that really annoys me. I'm like, I look the same. I look like the same nigga with these on and with these off.
But what they used to say was it was psychosomatic or mental block, as far as you don't see him as Superman because you don't want to, in a sense.
I guess. There can't be a whole lot of dudes with that type of build. Like he is not small, right?
No, he's and flying around with Lois fucking Lane everywhere. I'm not gonna see you fly off with her. And
the
you
guy
look the same.
that works at her job looks a little bit. Nah, I couldn't be.
I mean, look. I mean, there's a whole theory that both Perry White and Commissioner Gordon do know their respective heroes, but they choose not to disclose it because they choose not to tell them, essentially. But
the Gordon one makes more sense because like his daughter is working with him.
Yeah,
and he's been at like every crime scene, like from. Like, oh, you're at the crime scene of the Graysons, and now you take in the Grayson, and now you have a new sidekick that's the same age as the Grayson. That's crazy.
It's a little too coincidental, but also in year 1, he basically figures it out, and then also at the year when Batman Dark Knight Returns, he already knew it then. So it's like he probably knew. He just decided not to say anything about it to him. I think also with Jon Stewart, from the comic book lore, correct me if I'm wrong, Dev, didn't Jon Stewart want people to know it was him as far as like being?
He didn't want people to know, but he wasn't going to put a mask on because he didn't. Because I think the whole thing was them hiding his identity because it's like, oh, he's a black man.
He's a black, right?
I'm black. You gonna know I'm black.
Yeah. So it wasn't so much his name as far as his race and who he was that he wanted. Okay, I got you. Yeah, I got you. All right. So moving on to my number 2, I guess. No,
number 2.
Otis number 2. Otis number 2. This one is actually, this is kind of a 3 one. Damn, Otis, why are you so handsome? All right, here's number 3.
You'll do anything to avoid monitor duty.
Sent him off to the Phantom Zone, didn't you?
He left us no choice.
Spoken like a true Justice Lord.
What? Come on.
Passing judgment like gods, with our superpowered army and our orbiting death ray. Cadmus is right to be scared. The human race wouldn't stand a chance.
We'd never go there. It isn't in our nature, and nothing can change that.
Nothing? What if Luthor does become president, like he did in their world? What would stop you from doing what that Superman did?
There's always that kryptonite you carry around.
You don't get to joke. Not today. I just took a bullet for you.
So that whole movie itself, just him already having the plans in place to stop literally every one of the most powerful people on Earth. It just shows like, yeah, this is one guy you don't mess with.
Wait, that was a movie? I thought it was an episode of the show.
The Thunagarian.
Yeah, he picked one from the episode. I was trying to do from the Justice League Doomsday.
Oh
Okay. Oh, I thought you were doing. I'm sorry. That other one.
Okay.
That other one.
Yeah, but I mean that's also dope too. So I'm not gonna knock it in his along the same line of what I was saying, because I mean, with these being this powerful, you do need to have something in place for him, because
Doom, just like Doom.
Doomsday, yeah, Doom,
oh,
yeah,
Doom, okay.
Doom,
yeah.
I might put Doomsday.
Yeah, okay, that's what threw me off. Okay, okay,
that's all right. I mean, I like it. We won't get into that, but yeah, both of those are amazing moments.
Both of them are right. It's not the same,
right?
Yeah, same philosophy. Yeah, because he in the other one, just Otis is referring to, of course, he pretty much calls him out as far as like, if y'all don't recognize the fact that we need to have these kind of protocols, y'all hubris is already beyond me. And he walks to the door, so I'm done. I quit this team.
Yeah,
and then Superman, and it's in the comic too. It's called Tower of Babel, whatnot in the comics. But in Superman's like, "Yo, Superman, hold up, Batman, hold up, I feel you here." And that's when he actually gives him the ring, the kryptonite ring. Then in the comic book lore, so
I think they asked
Batman
him then they asked him like, "What is your contingency for you?" He's like, "Bitch, you don't get
y'all
off my face."
He said, "Y'all." He said, "Y'all are." Yeah, if I go crazy, y'all gonna stop me.
Yeah. You can move a moon if you don't get the fuck out of my face.
Yeah. So he's great, but I love the one also in Justice League where it's kind of like, he's like, "You don't get to talk glib to me, motherfucker.
Right.
You know what just happened? Were you just there? Yeah. I had to save all y'all's asses, and I'm the one mortal guy."
A kryptonite bullet for Superman. Come on now.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was in the show or there was something where they didn't fuck with him for a minute because of the contingencies and how that went down.
I know the comics,
bro. They're like, "You don't trust us?" It's like, "No, I trust you. I'm just prepared."
Yeah, he was banned from the Justice League and stuff. He was.
They were. How many times have one or multiple of the Justice Leaguers been come try something? Like, it just makes sense.
Constantly. Because part of the thing is too, is Batman, like you said, fortifies his brain so much that he can't be under the spells as nearly as often as anybody else. But you do see the Leaguers getting taken over. It happens.
Yeah,
it's a frequency. So,
granted, the few times this happened, that man has been a he man. Boy, let me tell you.
Yeah. My favorite one from Doom, actually. I know we're kind of getting on this tangent, but it's the one with the Flash, where the Flash asks him, where Batman says to him, like, he says, "How far are you from an iceberg?" And the Flash's like, I'm never far from anything. But the idea that Batman did have a backup as far as how to stop it was to get him near an iceberg and have him phase through it, essentially. Yeah. Okay. Moving on to my number 2.
Get dressed. It's time we talked. Why don't we step into the light together? I'm sure the American people will be just as interested in your activities as mine. Secret weapons, illegal cloning experiments, bypassing Congress.
What do you want?
I want to know what you think you're doing.
I love that clip because that was actually the season 2 finale, as it was having, because basically Waller had kind of called the Justice League like an episode before. Earlier, she'd called him out, essentially, kind of punked them all. And I was like, I remember thinking like, damn. And then Batman shows up at the end of the episode, at the end of the season, to do that. It's like, okay, good. The world is aligned again, just to show that he doesn't care about you trying to threaten his secret identity. He doesn't care about you trying to threaten his friends. He's like, I already have, again, contingencies within contingencies, and I do not get punked ever by anyone. So I just love seeing Batman be Batman.
I love those. I love whenever Conroy gets to get into like a verbal chess match with another character. I think my favorite probably is Waller, just because they have that snippiness and wittiness about both of them, and they all have so much information and then contingencies behind that. And then I love that you see the payoff with the end of the episode we talked about before and beyond, and in the end of the Justice League, in which you see Waller just talk about all that shit they went through throughout all that time, like the respect that she built up for him to the point to where she cloned him pretty much because she felt like he was needed so much.
It's essentially an arc for Waller regarding the need for him, person who was most contentious with. So yeah. And again, I gotta give a shout out to it's CCH Pounder, but I prefer this Waller to the more recent one they did in the comics. And as far as the CW shows, where she's all slim and quote unquote pretty, this is my Waller. this one.
I don't know. It don't really matter to me either way. Because then I see like Viola Davis, and she's a beautiful black woman. I'm just like,
yeah.
As long as you have that like that bite to you as a character.
But the Viola Davis is a live action version of this Waller, not the one that we see like in CW shows. She's going to be this one.
We don't need to talk about that one.
No, we don't talk about that chick. This is who Viola Davis is playing, in my opinion. So
pure black woman, boy, because that is every black auntie I've ever met. Where you're just like, so what kills me like the pauses of like the deadpan stares, like really, bitch.
Very deadpan stares. Do y'all remember in the Suicide Squad, the good one that James Gunn did there in the in that auditorium, and someone's like, "What is that over there?" She's like, "It's an overhead projector." It's like the deadpan humor. She's like, "Why is it in here?" It's like, "I guess we don't really need it." It's like, "Why is it still dead face?" There's no. It's beautiful. I love that scene to pieces. Anyways, sorry. So as we get into our number ones here, real quick, the number ones. We're in a safe place. If you need to shed some tears, that's fine. These are really, really good top ones. Everyone's going to have them on our number one list. We got to have them on ours as well. And there are three very different aspects of Kevin Conroy's voice and his abilities. So here we go. This is Charlie's number one.
Am I blue? Am I blue? Ain't these tears in my eyes telling you? Am I blue? You'd be too if each plan that you had done fell through.
So there's a slight backstory behind why that's my favorite moment. Obviously, I grew up with my grandparents. Majority of the time, I was with them a lot and heard a lot of old music. And that song in particular, I don't know if he made a cover. I feel like he's the first one to do it. But that's a Ray Charles song, essentially, that I heard way back in the day. And I'd only ever heard that song at my grandparents' house with Ray Charles singing it. So when I was watching the show and I heard that, I was like, oh, shit, that's amazing. And I think I watched Terrence Strong talk about it before. Like he'd always be singing that song when in between recordings and things like that. And they were like, "Hey, you got to do this for an episode at some point." And he just had a pure baritone. That's a song for dudes around my voice range where it's just you have that natural baritone, and it's everybody has a song in their voice range. It's just effortless for you to do that you can do almost perfectly. It doesn't take a lot of effort for you to like change vocal octaves and things like that. So me getting more in the choir and singing and being in jazz choir, things like that, that song still is one of my favorite songs. And then that makes that one of my favorite moments by one of my favorite people.
Yeah. Yeah. Because Kevin Conroy has a background in singing extensively and he never sang as Batman anywhere. And I think it was Tara Strong or Great Allow. Someone heard him and like, you got to do it. So they pretty much they basically made an entire episode where they wrote around that. So he had to basically sing. So they involved Circe. It happened. So yeah.
No, I didn't know. I don't think I remember seeing this episode before. I don't think I've ever seen that scene before.
So this is a whole episode. It was like a 3-episode thing with Wonder Woman where Wonder Woman got transformed into a pig by Circe.
Yes, it's unlimited. It's unlimited.
It's unlimited. Okay.
Yeah.
And it just ended with like, oh, I think they told Circe like, what would it take for you to change her back? And she's like, you have to give me something that you can never get back. And I guess it was some embarrassing moment,
dignity or something. Yeah,
the dignity. It just ended with him singing, and I was like, damn, Kevin, that's crazy.
But also in that same clip, you do see Circe crying too. Circe cries at him, so it's like, yeah. So it's like, so who really lost here, Circe? Yeah, that's a great one. So now at the other end of the spectrum, get into the Brody O's number one. I'm sorry, number one.
It's over, Darkseid. Even you must realize the folly of being a king without a kingdom.
I doubt the battle between the two Kryptonians will bring about such destruction.
I'm not talking about them. Your armory, the Hellspores, they've been activated.
Impossible. The arming code is encrypted.
I broke the code and reprogrammed them.
You're bluffing.
Omega Lambda 7 XL9. That sounds like a bluff to you?
Chill.
Just like, I don't think I've ever seen another hero that'll just say like, yeah, it's either my way or the highway to this level.
to this man, to Darkseid,
right? To Darkseid, like to dark. Like this is a planet destroyer, galactic conqueror. He was like, nah, bro. You either gonna let my friends go, or we all gonna go. So, how you want to do it, bro?
Buddy, literally, I can't think of anybody else that would just look in the face of a god, of somebody that can easily kill you and be like, pussy, do something. And to the point, like this, even like another moment that I don't know if you have it on yours, but like when it comes to like the Omega beams, Darkseid says there is nobody in existence that's ever been able to dodge an Omega beam.
No,
and
he says impressive. No one has ever died by it. Yeah, he calls it impressive first. Yeah,
right. And him as a mortal man was able to dodge this instantaneous death move that not even Superman's been able to avoid. He's a god, but Batman was able to do it. It just shows just how OP he is as a character.
Yeah, in this movie, a little bit later on, we see Supergirl and Superman both trying to dodge them over and over again, and they keep getting hit.
These are people that can fly at Mach 2. Somehow he backflips.
And in the comics, the one time he gets hit with it and he doesn't even die. He's like, I just got put back in town, bitch. I'm back. He's like, I didn't die. I'm back.
Yeah. I hated I had to cut this. Because originally this clip was like a minute and a half long. And I cut it down a lot. But there's a part also where it's like Darkseid starts beating around Superman, Batman. And crisps him up and slams him into a wall. Slams him through a wall. And Batman's like pretty much all crippled up and broken. And he still says, force where cars are well. And Darkseid smiles and says, if anyone else had tried this, if the Kryptonian had tried this, I wouldn't have cared. But you're the one man that I know you're not bullshitting, basically, is what he says. And he acquiesces. So it's just to show that even Darkseid recognizes that this dude is the dude. So
look into the face of God and blinked. That blinked.
But it was what was that? The anime that they had for that the one where it has those two universes. It's called like not New Frontier. It's that other DC animated. Which one?
Crisis on Two Earths?
Yes, it's basically that, where it shows how the Owlman versus Batman, and Batman says, He says, the difference between you and me is we both stared into the abyss, but you blinked. Calling Owlman. So yeah, but that wasn't by Kevin Conroy, so I said I can't put that clip there.
Yeah, that was a different Batman. I'm pretty sure.
Different Batman. Yeah, different actor. Yeah.
But
yeah, I love this movie. This movie's great. I love this clip. I love Kevin Conroy because it's Kevin Conroy and Tim Daly were both in this movie too. All right, so here's my number one, and of course, this has to be the number one. If we didn't have this on the list, we'd all be remiss. We'd all lose our nerd cards. So here we go.
It doesn't mean I don't care anymore. I don't want to let you down, honest, but it just doesn't hurt so bad anymore. You can understand that, can't you? Look, I can give money to the city. They can hire more cops. Let someone else take the risk, but it's different now. Please. I need it to be different now. I know I made a promise, but I didn't see this coming. I didn't count on being happy.
That was Mask of the Phantasm, right?
Mask of the Phantasm, yeah. But that clip is obviously wildly too meta right now, as far as just, it's his dying word, or his last words were he didn't count on being happy. Kevin Conroy at the beginning of the show talks about how you had to roll with the punches and kind of be willing to adapt, and just you never know what curveball's going to come your way, because he wasn't the first choice for Batman at all, or Bruce Wayne in the show, and he was very happy that he got it.
Really?
No, he wasn't the first. He wasn't the first choice, but he was how elated he was to get it, and it's kind of the same idea as far as it almost seems as he's left us. He's just talking to the grave about how happy he was to have it. We were happy to have had him. Sorry to have lost him. He was a goat. There will never be another Bruce Wayne in my mind, in my mind's eye, in my ears. I'm getting tearing up just thinking about it. So it's just
and no other medium, when I hear Batman speaking, will I ever truly feel that this is Batman, because Kevin Conroy is not only my introduction, but he just epitomized what Batman is. Like, no one's ever come close. Not in video form, animated form, video game form. He is it.
Now I regret I had an opportunity last summer. My buddy was trying to get me to go to Florida to a con where he was going to be there, and I was like, oh, I'll see him again at some point. It's fine. Like when I get money, I'll go see him. And it kills me because I had an opportunity to go, even if it was just to get in the line and just shake his hand for a second to thank him. I'll never get the opportunity now.
Yeah. And from what people have said, he was at the LA Comic-Con last year, and my buddy James P and I were like, "Oh, let's go see him." And it was him and Will Friedle. I guess they're talking about something for Batman Beyond or whatnot. And we're trying to go to it, but of course it was the panel was sold out, and then it was the line. There was no way we could get in there to see him, but everyone was like, he was the nicest dude imaginable. Also, he's one of those guys that he stayed there. Him and Will Friedle both actually stayed there as long as they stayed there pretty much the entire time to sign autographs without complaining, just smiling and asking questions.
Bro,
yeah.
The crazy thing about that show in particular was like they not only didn't cast initially, they didn't want Kevin initially, they didn't get Mark Hamill initially either.
Right,
like
he was cast for somebody else.
That series and going forward, like they weren't the initial choices for that.
Yeah, it's hard to think about because I think Tim Curry was more. I don't know if he was number one, but he was above Mark Hamill, and then Tim Curry did some other stuff. But he did Hook, he did that show Pan, whatever, that Peter Pan show on Fox. But trying to imagine how different things would have been if those two weren't those voice actors. I wonder if the show would have been as iconic or as had endured as it did. It wasn't for those two.
The world would be different. I ain't gonna lie to you. Like the world would be different.
Like I don't know if we have the success of those Warner Brother animated cartoons without those two. More specifically Kevin Conroy. Like the Batman animated series was the flagship for a lot of the ones that came later within that verse. Like I don't think we would have gotten Static Shock down the line.
No, hell no.
No. It was
there's Jon Stewart probably wouldn't have been a thing where as far as him being animated and getting see Phil Lamar take on that iconic role, like that show and their performances opened up opportunities for so many different people of so many different backgrounds.
Dwayne McDuffie, our boy Dan McDuffie, the king of blurs essentially.
It's crazy, man.
Because Bruce Timm gave him a job as a writer on the show. So I don't think it 100% molded who I am. In the 90s, like I said, when I was a kid, I would rush home to see the cartoon, and that was my first impression essentially of comic book superheroes. I went and read the comic books after seeing the cartoon show. So I think for my generation especially, we were influenced mainly by this cartoon. The movie was great, but it wasn't nearly as influential as this show, which we saw every day.
Yeah, man. Before we get ready to close out, the last thing I'll say is I want to make sure going forward, this is something that it's a lesson that I get taught every now and then that I feel like it's something that people need to remember going forward, as far as just there may not be a tomorrow. Same thing I did with Kevin. I was like, I'll see him at some point. Like he'll be around. When I get money and I get older, I'll go see him. And I had a chance, I should have taken it. So going forward, if I get a chance to go to con, I get to see my favorite people like Tara Strong, Cree Summers, Phil Lamar, like any of those people. If I get a chance, I want to go do it, even if it's just to shake their hand or just see them in person, to be like, you were an important part of my life growing up. So don't expect things to be there tomorrow, because they may not be here tomorrow.
100%.
Take it for granted.
You have anything else to say before we close out?
No, I'll save mine for when the reel goes up.
Right on.
It's not gonna be that one. This is gonna be a moment of silence to close out.
Really?
Yes.
But that's not as fun. Okay, I'll say it now. Christian Bale could fucking never.
Jesus Christ. That's
it. That's it. Those are the last words we're gonna have in this episode. So, yeah.
All right. Thank you guys for your support. We hope for your continued support, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace.
Peach.